the Larry Lynch, the president of the United States Personal Chef Association, and we're excited again to bring you Deb Cantrell for one of our series of webinars that we do. And one of the things that we've always talked about is the changes to business and the impact of this pandemic. And it's interesting, and Deb and I talked about this the other day, how I'm talking to chefs, and so many chefs are so busy, but they're so busy doing different things. And when we think about the impact, I certainly see it in my other world, the impact that this has had on restaurants, but that same impact is flowing into our industry as well. And I think it's important that we pay attention to it. So we're excited to have Deb tonight talk about some of the things that are happening. We're even more excited because we managed somehow to do some unique things with our invitations. And so if you're coming on, you may see a lot of Deb Cantrells tonight. We were actually trying something new with multiplicity, and it seems to have worked. So we have Deb on steroids during this program tonight. And I won't go into the long explanation. Don't panic. We have a few guests who did come in as Deb. They've been muted, but we will unmute them a little bit later. If you weren't fortunate enough to be one of those who got the Deb invitation, then I would suggest everybody, if they have questions for Deb, shoot them into either the chat down below or the Q&A down below. I'll be monitoring that for Deb to make sure that we can get the questions up there, but I want to give her all the time tonight we can. This will be unique because usually we do Q&A, but once Deb's done tonight and she gives me this signal, I will unmute. So we'll actually have conversation, which we've before. So this will be kind of fun and exciting. So Deb, the great thing about this is I don't tell anybody where the bathrooms are because we're virtual. Although we have a lot of people tonight, I could probably point to them in different directions in their houses, but we won't do that. So I'm going off camera. I'm going off mic, and I'm turning it over to you. All yours.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. First and foremost, life happens around me, and especially this week. And so this is the day that, day 2 of them putting in my floors. So I don't know how they managed to always end up outside my door about the time that I need to be on any type of video. So if you hear hammering in the background or saws of some sort, that is the reason why we're having floors put in, and it just so happens it fell on today. So you guys bear with me through the noise, and whenever, like Larry said, make sure you put your questions in the chat as we go. If I say something you need to understand clarity-wise, if you have a question, anything like that, put it in the chat. Larry and I are going to actually have a conversation later about everything that we have talked about. So I am going to share my screen with you guys. And let me go to slideshow. Okay. Give me just a second. It's filtering through Zoom. There we go. Okay. One of the things that from many of you guys I know, some of you guys I don't know, so welcome. One of the things that I have learned is through the past 2 years, if it's taught me anything, what it's taught me is really the way that you run your business is a choice. From the things that happen to you throughout the day, kind of like everybody showing up as Deb Cantrell and them hammering outside my door, to whatever happens in your business. What you need to understand is that when you get up each morning and when you go to bed each night, you absolutely have a choice of what the next day is going to look like and how you respond to it. So a lot of times I ask the culinary business owners that I work with, where do you want to be? I love this particular snapshot of what we know for sure is the sun will always set and it will always rise again tomorrow. What you choose to give energy towards and what you choose to create between sunrise and sunset is what you will manifest. Choose wisely. The reason why I say choose wisely is because you truly create what you believe and the story that you tell yourself. So if you believe that your business has been rocked and it will never come back, then guess what? It's not going to. If you believe that there's no good culinary employees out there, then there's not. If you believe that you will never get out from behind your stove and move into that CEO position, then you will not be that way. One of the things that I have learned is that there are so many quote unquote problems in business. And what you guys have to understand, what we have all been through this year created more obstacles than ever before. But if you really stop to think about the obstacles in your business and your life that you've been through in the past, what happened on the other side of that, I'm not going to say is a blessing, but you learned so many things. But what you need to realize is when things rock your business, that's an opportunity for you to really take a look at what you're doing in your business and decide if it is your best, you should continue doing it, or is your business trying to tell you something? Some of the most intuitive business owners that I work with really take those opportunities when their business kind of knocks them on their butt to say, what am I not listening to? Because normally what happens in your business is there is something that you should have done, something your business wants you to do, or that thing that just keeps you up at night that you're putting off until your business says, we're not growing, we're not doing anything until you do this thing. I saw this quote, which I thought was amazing, and it was so par for the course of what was kind of happening in the world and buyer behavior. Whenever I saw this quote, I thought that is so amazing. Some of you guys I have talked to many, many times. Some of you guys I haven't talked to at all. But the difference in what windshield you are looking out of makes the biggest difference in your business. It really becomes, are you proactive or are you reactive in your business? So what's really fascinating about this is some people constantly look out that back windshield of, woe is me, this happened, I can't recover, I lost a client, I lost money, someone stole from me, whatever, instead of really looking out of that windshield, that forward windshield of where you're going. Someone told me once, stop looking out of the back windshield, you aren't going that way. So I really want to encourage you guys today, as Larry and I talk about buyer behavior and changing your business and what's really going on out there, so that you can plan for 2022 and really all the great things that can occur in it. I want you to decide right now, what windshield are you going to start looking out of? I don't care what you've done up to this point, but really, really ask yourself on a daily basis, which one are you looking out of? Now, when you look forward, the thing about it is you haven't seen the past, which is a good and bad thing because you can actually learn from things in the past. But I'm just asking you today for this presentation is not to stay there. So one of the things that we do know whenever the world turned upside down is it really made you play bigger or smaller. And honestly, what I saw is culinary business owners did three things. What happened is either you climbed inside yourself, you completely shut down, and you thought it is over. I actually kind of called the pandemic at one point natural selection for culinary business owners, because if you were already teetering on that line, it probably already made you just shutter your business. The other thing I saw is culinary business owners for a while, it stopped them dead in their tracks, and then they slowly started to make steps again. The third thing I saw is this overarching, this will not stop me. There are opportunities out there for people to serve. I just have to think differently. Guys, I can tell you there are culinary business owners out there that had their best year ever in business last year, okay? I am not trying to take away for what this pandemic has done to your friends or your family members. I am speaking specifically about your culinary business today. My biggest thing that I have asked some of you guys is, why did it take a pandemic? Why did it take a pandemic that made you stop dead in your tracks and reevaluate everything that you're doing? What I know is, after being in business now for almost 20 years, and I just realized I joined the USPCA, I think 19 years ago, is that about every 3 years, something is going to come along and will shake you to your core in business. And one of the big questions I ask is, will you adapt? Will you know what to do to keep moving forward instead of staying stuck between what I want to do and what I used to do? It should not take a pandemic to get you to think differently about your business. This is a very interesting slide that I want to show you. This is what I call a success path for what I see happens with culinary business owners. And what I really see happen is you kind of start out at step one, where you're the explorer, where you don't have a clear path or vision, you're tired of inconsistent income, you're feeling alone, you're kind of wandering around aimlessly. All you know is you have a business card, you're ready to cook, and for anybody that will let you apply fire to food. You kind of move along to the delegator, where you begin to maybe delegate to a few employees or helpers, as many people call them. They can be contract, maybe it's your Aunt June that comes in, or your daughter Sarah, or whoever, but you're still approving everything. Everything goes by you. If you can't get out of this stage, then probably it is because you are a control freak. And I mean that with the most amount of love. And you think nobody can do it as good or better than you. For many of you guys, you stay right here in business. As you move along, you've got the cowboy, where you feel like you're herding cows, you're running the whole ranch, you're building a small team, you're still micromanaging, and you're just spread too thin, but you're starting to grow, you're starting to get really traction in your business. We have the CEO, where you really start to put maybe a kitchen manager in place, maybe somebody that does your marketing, where you start to pull yourself out of your business, and you really realize at this point that the business doesn't run you anymore. Whereas steps 1, 2, and 3, the business runs you. And it's really hard for you to even imagine stepping away from your business to even go to a workshop to learn more. That's called being reactive and not proactive. We talked about that earlier in what is your mindset, looking out the back window or looking forward. This allows you in the step forward to really go out of town. Your business doesn't miss a beat. Doesn't mean you don't check in, but at this stage, you get the choice to cook. So while you guys are putting questions in the chat, I can't see the chat right now because I can see my slides. If you want the choice to cook, all I need is a yes in the chat, please. I want to see how many people say yes. So moving on, you have visionary, which is step 5. At this stage of the game, your entire team doesn't need you. It's time to let go of the day-to-day. You are giving back in whatever way you choose to give back in, and you check in occasionally. You become a mentor to others. One of the biggest, and I'm going to reiterate this, reactive versus proactive. When you operate your business reactively, you're usually in the explorer, the delegator, or the cowboy. If you operate your business proactively and you decide to get over being a micromanager, you're in steps 4 and you're in steps 5. You get the choice to cook, and you can also totally step away, take a vacation, and know the money is still going to come in. When you're in steps 1, 2, 3, it is very hard to step away from your business and do things to where you actively grow it, like at workshops, attending conferences, anything like that, that will get you into that steps 4 and 5. So how did buyer behavior change, and how are we putting this all together? Well, as we talk about who you are as a business owner and how you may need to think about how you change, how you need to change, just like, let me find my arrows. Hang on just a second. Let me go back here. I want you to take a look at where you are now. Be honest. Where are you now? Where do you want to be? And what I want you to stop and think about is, what is your gap? What is your gap that is going to get you to that next step in business? It's this gap that is the number one thing that in 2022 that you have got to work on to grow your unique culinary business. If you work on nothing else, work on the gap that you know is there to get you to the next level. So we talk about how we run businesses and what our behavior is in business. What about buyers out there? What we learned over the past couple of years, and my marketing team has really helped me to figure this out, is buyers can make purchases anytime and anywhere. What I mean by that is, think about how many times you said to yourself, well, just get it from Amazon, they'll deliver it the next day. Or I can't find it at the grocery store. Well, that's okay. Just get it from Amazon or Uber Eats, or have the grocery store deliver it to you if you don't want to leave your home. What happened is we created a culture of instant gratification, and it is rampant. We were taught that we really don't have to wait for anything anymore, to include food. How many clients do you have that says, oh, I'm so tired of Uber Eats? They may be tired of it, but what we're hearing and experiencing as chefs is that, well, what do you mean I can't have it tomorrow? I want it customized to the nines, and I want it delivered here quickly, and I want it my way. So we were taught that we could pretty much get food any restaurant at any time and whatever we want. So that's why I said number 3 is instant gratification became the norm. I know many of us, whenever we were children, we were taught that instant gratification was not a good thing. We were taught patience and understanding. We all learned as well the world could run virtually and do just fine. I realized at one point that people will probably never need office buildings again, or if they do, they're going to be much smaller. I also realized that the pandemic would give business owners an excuse to offer less. So if you've been to a hotel lately, they don't clean your room every day. They choose to clean it every 3 to 5 days. That's just one example. So what we experienced is a consumer group that was used to less. They were used to less customer service. They were used to getting less things that they used to get before, which became a very frustrated buyer. If you read the statistics, and I know that the pandemic is different in different parts of the countries as far as open and close and mask and not mask and all those other things. But what you need to realize is 50%, whenever the world opened back up, ran screaming out of their homes. And the other 50% want to stay home and limit their circle. Either way, one of the things that we realized is that now people value experiences in the home or experiences outside the home. Whereas people didn't value maybe what you did before, now people want you in their home and they're buying bigger services. Maybe now you're starting to do more dinner parties than you've ever done before. And now the travel industry is exploding with bigger dollar amounts. Is this making sense to you guys? Just shake your head yes, so that I can kind of, sort of, okay, kind of, sort of, okay. If you guys can also, so I've got 2 different screens, so I can see you guys over here, but I can see my screen here. So if I look this way, I'm actually looking at you. You just don't know it. If you guys have experienced any of this in your business, can I at least get a head shake or a no? Yeah, you have? Okay. So one of the things that we really realized as business owners is we had to think of a different way to serve our clients differently. However, many people said, I'm still doing it this way, and I'm not going to change the way I'm doing business. My clients either buy from me or they don't. This business has worked well for all these years and it will work well again. Okay. Believe me, I was some that way. One particular example is I'm having clients come out of the woodwork that want macros for all of their food. And before I was like, I'm not doing macros. We are a scratch kitchen. If you want that, you're going to pay more for it. Usually I would add about $100 onto their chef fee to create customized menus for them. Before you ask, I don't use modern meal. It is just not my thing. I do have a commercial kitchen with a large team, and we have people that are available to do it. But it's not something I wanted to do. Well, what I started to realize is more and more and more people wanted us to do it, and we were starting to lose clients as a result of it. So I had to really think differently about, am I here to serve them or am I here to serve me? And when I really went back to my why of, no, I'm really here to serve them, I am not asking you to bend over backwards and not have boundaries. That is not what I'm asking. But I really want you to think through about some preconceived notions that you have about your business. So as we started to put a plan in place to track macros and really do some unusual outside of the box things, which I'll tell you about a semi-private chef offering we put together here in a little bit, because our clients actually wanted to change the model. And here's that word of what a traditional personal chef company was. They started telling us that they wanted more. So I'll go into that in a little bit. But really and truly, if you think about how you had to change in order to feed yourself and feed your families, I just want to give you guys some ideas of what I have seen some other culinary business owners do to really take advantage of what was happening currently in the world with buyer behavior. So whenever we look at some of those, what we call changes in buyer behavior, many times what happened is people didn't want you in their home anymore. Many chefs switched to delivery from a commercial kitchen, or they took that opportunity to build a team of chefs that will go into other homes and cook. It's really based upon geographic location. But if you've ever thought about moving into a commercial kitchen, now is the time to do that. Don't let it scare you of what it is and what the model is. I'm just telling you that now is the time more than ever, because everyone is used to delivery. If you've always wanted to build a team of chefs and send them into other people's homes, now is the time, based upon people wanting an experience, people not wanting to go to the grocery store and sick to death of Uber Eats, or better yet, their own cooking. Now is the time to do that. So you really have to take a look of, what is your current client sick of? If they're sick of their own food, if they're sick of gaining weight, they're sick of Uber Eats, or they're sick of going out, then build services and offerings and shift your business according to what your buyer is telling you in your area. Many people started adding on a la carte services. What does that mean? If you're a traditional personal chef and you have never offered anything but dinner, try breakfast, lunches, snacks, smoothies, bone broths. You would be shocked at the number of people that will increase their services with you by adding these simple services. We even started doing things like we would add on, we have a lettuce farmer in town that created salad boxes. We even started adding some of those things on. So I need you to kind of get outside of your mindset of, my clients only want dinner, or maybe they want lunch and dinner. I want you to really think about, what other things are your clients buying when it comes to food, and why shouldn't they buy it from you? I would tell you that of the 40-ish something clients that we have at Savor, probably 50% of them do some type of a la carte or add-on service. And it has significantly increased our bottom line. We're going to talk about adding a product to a service, or a service to a product, in a little bit. I'm going to kind of show you that and illustrate that to you. One of the things that we are going to talk about, not here, but at a workshop that I'm having in January, is streamlining and using technology that saves you time in your business so you can do more of the things you love, or it could also take the place of some hours for an admin or maybe even another chef. But really learning to streamline and use technology will not only save you time, but it could eliminate the need for more employees or the current employees you have to take more time. Now, how does this fit in? The thing about it is I am a technophobe. Let me tell you guys, I'm an IT disaster. It is one of the reasons why I married a man that owns his own IT company, because, oh my gosh, someone was looking out for me. And if you know me, you know that that is absolutely the truth. One of the things that I did during this time is I really realized that I take a lot of steps to onboard a client. I take a lot of steps to communicate with a client. I take a lot of steps in my kitchen to get things done. So if you might still be lighter on clients, this is a time to really look at streamlining in your business and possibly using technology a little bit more. So I'm actually going to skip this, and I'm going to go into add a service to a product or a product to a service for value add. So, and sorry about the hammering, guys. One of the things that we talked about is juices and smoothies as an upsell to personal chef services. So many of you guys out there have spice blends that you use on a regular basis, or you have favorite sauces that you make. And what I've heard from many of you is, yeah, but they're not bottled and they're not pretty and I don't have the right sticker. Who cares? They're buying it from somebody else. They might as well buy it from you. And you would probably agree with me that yours is better than theirs anyway. Buy it from you. Start with offering these to your current clients. Start using them in your catering and letting clients know that they are available. You're already making them anyway for many of your clients. Make sure that clients understand that you actually do these things. One of the things that I've realized is you can often add additional value instead of a discount. And what do I mean by that? So many times with a client, if we are going to lose them based upon price, what we have realized is people now are used to having more at their fingertips, but what they're not used to is the customer service aspect. So a lot of times before I lose a client on price, I will often do a value add or an added value and say, you know what, if you're struggling with, breakfast in the morning, let's add some smoothies. If you are, if you're wondering about the catering and it's just outside of your budget, let's add possibly a charcuterie board or an extra entree or an extra dish. This is not time consuming. I just want to tell you about how to shift your mindset get into now the mind of your ideal buyer that is now used to having value add and more. You don't have to create anything that takes you forever to create it. So we talked about some of the examples of being a personal chef and adding upsells. If you're a caterer, I know a lot of caterers right now that says, hey, if you'll use our service, you're going to have a big, seated plated dinner. Let's add a breakfast item on to the next morning. A lot of times that is an upsell. You would be surprised at how fast someone will book with you, or you can make more money by saying, would you also be interested in breakfast the next morning? Or can we have lunch for you guys the next day? Or can we add on a charcuterie board? Some of you really need to ask for the sale. One of the people that I coach actually took the idea because he has been catering very high-end dinner parties for so long that during the pandemic, he flipped that to where he started teaching people how to create the perfect dinner party in their own home. So he had more DIY offering instead of him doing it all for them. He would teach people, a lot of times virtually, on how to have their own perfect dinner party in their home. Another example is if you have a food product like toffee, jams and jellies, anything like that that you are already doing, look at partnering with people that are in your area that share your same target market. I cannot tell you how many times. So I told you that I had a kitchen. I have this small space in the front. It's my only space. And we wanted to bring the community together, and we really wanted to, we listened to what our clients were saying and what buyer behavior was in Fort Worth. And they said there's no unusual pop-ups anymore. So what we did is we had a pop-up art gallery in our space. You can go to an art gallery. We had a wine storage place in town that came, and we had a pop-up art gallery. The artist painted her interpretation of the menu with the art hanging all around. We auctioned off that art at the end of the night for charity. And at the same time, the wine merchant that came in with the sommelier paired the wine with the food. People purchased wine through her. And so, because we don't have a liquor license, didn't want the liability. But what happened is we gave them an experience. I even had white trees, these beautiful edible flowers hanging off of it, and then gave everybody kitchen shears to kind of cut their own flowers off. Each course had something unusual like that. Again, think experience, think different. If you're a baker and love to bake, think about possibly doing an online course to teach people how to bake like a pro. There's also an idea of memberships out there. If you're a baker and people love your baked goods, it's very easy to create a membership where you sell them a couple of baked goods a month. You just automatically send it to them for a certain dollar amount every month. We've partnered with a juice company to add on to our services as well. And I mentioned the farmer kits. So I've also mentioned the subscription or the membership model as well. One of the things that I saw people do during the pandemic is one of the chefs that I work with has been doing jams and jellies forever. She started a Jam of the Month club. She has her personal chef services. She does definitely have her catering. But what she started doing is she created a Facebook group so she could really create community around people coming together that love jams and jellies. She would do a cooking class, she would pair 1 hour a month, and then they would also get a couple of jams and jellies a month. That service that she created during last year is almost replacing her personal chef income. It is because she listened to the buyer behavior of what is going on around her. You guys are already part of subscription services, everything from Netflix to Spotify to Pandora to BarkBox. So this is a few different things that people have done. I taught all of you guys know about virtual cooking classes. Many people have created a membership around cooking classes, virtual, in person, or both. It depends upon where you live. I know that somebody created a charcuterie board membership. Members were shipped 2 to 3 products a week. They had a great recipe. And then there was also a live demo on how to make a charcuterie board. In our personal chef service, we started offering to create an experience in the home with a personal chef service. We started offering an upsell to charcuterie boards so that you could have it with your Tuesday night dinner. So there's all kinds of things out there that you can do. Like I said, jams, jellies, and baked goods. What we do know, people are craving community right now more than ever. People want to know that they're in the same boat. So really think about using your personal chef and your catering services to talk about the why behind food. This has to do with your marketing. When we changed our marketing to talk about the why and how food brings people together and why we started Savor, and that what we really are offering is experiences. And we stopped using the word save time for dinner, stop going to the grocery store. We stopped those traditional personal chef words, and we found such a huge amount of value as well as more clients. So this is one of the worksheets that I'm going to use at a workshop that I'm going to tell you about later on. But this is something that you can very well do yourself. This will get you thinking about creating courses, memberships, add-ons. So if you want to, if you have your cell phone in front of you, just take a picture of this, and this will prompt you to really get out of your head where you can add something into your business and really think about what's going on out there and the needs of your clients. A lot of people created courses too around their unique process that they have been able to repeat every time. They created a course they added on their website, or they actually would do these things virtually. So let me flip. One of the things that we all struggled with, or I used to struggle with quite a bit, is inconsistent income. Cash flow would be up and down, almost like a roller coaster. You would be shocked that once you really start to think outside the box, you agree with yourself to really shift your behavior and think about changing your business based upon the needs of what's going out there in your target market, you will be so surprised at how much more consistent your income will be. And a lot of these things will really help you to stop trading dollars for hours, honestly. So what you guys, I found this very valuable. I'm almost finished and I will get this wrapped up. But one of the most valuable things that I've ever learned is this very simple technique is a Google search. If you will simply go to Google or whatever your search engine is, and you will type in problems with. So problems with family meals, problems with personal chef services, problems with dinner parties, problems with whatever your thing is in the services and products that you provide. What will happen is you will get blogs, papers written, chat rooms, all kinds of things where people talk about the things that you're providing and the problems with. The reason why this is so important is now you can start to find out what people are actually talking about in your services, to find out if you do some of those things they're talking about, or you can actually start to use some of those things in your marketing in such a way of problems with prepared meal delivery is the food all tastes the same. That's an example. When you talk to a client, our potential client, or you can create a Facebook ad, or you can just post on social media, you can say something simple like, one thing that you will never find in my service is food that tastes the same. The variety, the textures, the flavors, all of those things is what I pride myself on. So just for example, you can use those things to really counteract, and you can start to look at buyer behavior, what people are talking about out there. So that comes to this. We are going to take it back to Larry here in just a little bit. If you guys are interested in the things that we have talked about today, as far as buyer behavior, as far as what you need to do with your marketing, how it needs to change. If you really don't know how to plan your goals for 2022 and you want to finally come to work with a group of supportive business owners that will pull you out of your business to work on your business and not in it, this will be, I think, the sixth year that we've had Sharpen. It is here in Fort Worth, Texas. And one of the things that we are doing, it is a 2-day workshop. There is not a virtual option. I want you guys in the room. But one of the reasons why this particular workshop was kind of revamped from the way it had been done in the past is we want you to develop a bulletproof business foundation that can survive through just about anything. There are so many untapped opportunities for doing business differently. We're going to teach you how to do that differently, but we're going to give you a unique plan for your unique business, along with speakers that are going to come in, some are actually flying in to talk to you guys about next level branding and really what to do with the numbers in your business. You're going to have the tools to strengthen your brand. And what it's going to do is going to help you to confidently make business decisions. More than anything, guys, you can come there with all your business struggles and frustrations. We're going to fill all those holes, and we will not let you leave until those are fixed. Here's just one of the schedules that you guys will be a part of, should you choose to come. You can kind of see some of the things that we're having, from evaluating your income streams to creating consistent income, to simple tools to get you out of overwhelm. Hiring, we're going to have an entire hiring panel. I'm actually bringing in an expert that is going to talk on this, and you're going to be able to learn from several different business owners who have just been there and done that. Lastly, digital marketing trends in 2021, what to expect in 2022. Guys, I'm even going to feed you lunch as well as breakfast. So what's really cool about all of this is you're going to leave there with a plan for your unique business. If this is something that you are interested in, I'm going to put the landing page in the chat for you guys to go to. If you are part of the USPCA, you're going to get $25 off using the code USPCA. There's already $100 off currently. However, if you are part of the USPCA or join the USPCA, you get an additional $25 off of this. Price will go up as of December 1, and I'm going to put the page in the chat. Let me just click on it before I completely screw this up and make sure that it's there. It is there. Okay, I am going to stop sharing my screen. Hopefully, there we go. We brought everybody back. So Larry, I think we've got some things in the chat, and then if you guys also have questions.
And I thought I'd do, so we've got 15 minutes left, so I thought I'd do is maybe take 10 minutes, you and I can do a little chat, and then I'll take the rest of our group off mute. I will explain to everybody who is watching tonight and wondering, why are there so many people on camera, and why is there more than one Deb Cantrell? Who may have joined us a little bit late. We had a little technical snafu earlier with the link. And so some of our folks joined us as Deb. Thankfully, almost everybody identified themselves with their correct name. But we will give a chance for some live Q&A with about 5 minutes left. But one thing, and I know Elizabeth Bourget put a question, and I want to make sure that we have a chance to address Elizabeth's question, because, and it really ties to some of the things we've talked about, Deb, and her question was really related to the fact that it's been difficult to get back into people's homes, and they primarily want delivery. And I've heard that, right? And I've heard that depending on where things are with the pandemic. I think the upside of this, though, and because, you know, I kind of wear two hats when it comes to this industry,
right?
Is that this whole delivery thing now has awakened this industry to rent. Well, maybe we can do this, because there was a lot of, how safe can you deliver food from point A to point B? And, you know, in my other world, I spent a lot of time talking with the good folks at DoorDash and Grubhub and Uber Eats, and they never want to talk to us a lot about food safety, but what they're coming to understand is if they don't do something about it, something could be done to them. So I think the stigma isn't there. It's not a matter of how it gets from point A to point B, because there's some real fundamentals in safely getting food to a consumer. It's where it's prepared, right? As we talk about this idea of commercial kitchens, and what we're seeing is this tremendous growth in these independently driven kitchens, in these commercial kitchens, in these ghost kitchens, restaurants that found that they have additional space or time perhaps, or that just couldn't make it in the pandemic and found that just opening the doors to others would work. So I think it's incumbent on people to look for these opportunities if in fact that's what's driving your business, to say, where can I prepare this? And then how can I just make sure that it gets from point A to point B safely? Do I seal it properly? It doesn't sometimes take anything more than a bag and some sealing. I just got in a long conversation with the FDA last week about plasticides that are used in some of the food packaging that's used for delivery in fast food restaurants, and a study that was done somewhere. But the basics are there. The things are available at different restaurant stores. Grab them, use them, and do them. But I think the other thing too is communicate to your customers what you're doing to keep them safe from a health and safety perspective, as well as what you expect from them to do to keep you safe. I mean, if you're in their kitchen and they're never coming anywhere near you, you're in cooking and you're preparing and you're stocking, you're doing whatever it is that you're doing for them, and there's not a lot of connectivity, you're going to be safe. The one thing that we do know with this particular virus is surface transmission is not a risk. So if they've touched something, if you've touched something, that's not a COVID risk. But I think educating those clients and understanding, look, here, some people you're never going to get past, right? They're going to want you wearing a mask and they may not want you in their house. But I think if you can help them understand that you know this, and we'll be talking about this more as an association over the next couple of months, that you can get your foot in the door, that you can do things, and you can make them comfortable if you try. So I just want to assure Elizabeth that there's a couple of options here. One is you can definitely safely get food from point A to point B. It's where it's prepared is the big question. And at the end of the day, show your expertise. Way back when, in the beginning of the pandemic, we put out some guidance in terms of how to operate safely in someone's home. And that's pretty much as valid today as it was many months ago when we first produced it. So I would encourage people to do that. But I want to lead up to that, and I'll throw it back over to you in just a second, is that the other thing that we should look at is this really isn't a pandemic-driven change. This is accelerated by the pandemic. But this change in consumer behavior has been taking place for a while now. And while I think a lot of folks were focused on, I'm going to do weekly meal prep, and that's all I'm going to do, and this is all that the consumer want. Consumers were already starting to nest at home. There's a reason that people were buying 85-inch televisions and spending more time at home. And what ended up happening with the pandemic was they discovered that not only could they do it, they liked doing it. And that ability to create those other kinds of experiences they had outside the home, like a fine dining experience, but being able to do it in the home with a chef, that's an engaging opportunity that creates some excitement, opens up all kinds of new doors that we really never had before. Lecture done.
It really does. And like Larry said, you're not going to convince some people if you choose to run your business in the home. Some people you're just not going to convince. But there are other people out there that you can convince. So if this is a concern for you, then yes, make your client happy. But this is also the opportunity where you get to set boundaries of, yes, I'll come into your home, but you need to understand some of the ways that I've changed my business practices is no one is allowed in the kitchen with me at any time. I've even had some chefs that have gone into homes and taken the blue painter's tape, and they've literally put a line around the kitchen I've seen it. But you know what? It's visual and clients respect it. So it's an idea, something as simple as painter's tape.
Yeah. Hey, I did want to bring up something too, Deb, because you're talking about community and Google and some of the things you can look for. Right after the first of the year, the association is launching a brand new community platform. We're building it now, and I mean it's extensive. It's taking us about 2 months to get this thing built to launch it right after January 1. But when we talk about that ability to take a look at some of these subset elements of the business and connect, we're going to be able to basically dissect this industry in many different ways, so that people will have a platform to talk, a platform to research, a platform to go places. So I'm going to encourage everybody to take a look at what we have coming in 2021. I'm not going to announce it until December because I want to be able to showcase some things. And George Stephanius and I are busy 2 times a week burying ourselves in technology stuff. I identify myself as the world's oldest geek, but having a lot of fun putting this together because it's going to tie to our membership database system. It's ultimately going to flow into Hire a Chef. So it's probably the most dynamic change we've made technologically since I took the association on 10 years ago. So it's kind of exciting. But it will address some of those very things you're talking about and supplant what you need to do with Google, because we can all talk to each other as well.
Okay. Is there any other, oh, Sabrina says, Deb, I'm here. It's Nina. I don't think I'm showing up on the screen. This is fantastic. So helpful. Would love to come to Sharpen. Well, come on.
The link's there.
Yeah, the link is there. Use the corrected link because apparently I put the wrong one in for my own workshop. So there you go.
We were having a day here with links and
You know what? My God, we're here. And I think the work finally left. So what I really want to open it up to is a couple of different things. One, first and foremost, is any dialogue that anybody wants to, Larry, I don't know if you gave them the opportunity to unmute themselves.
I'm going to take us off. I'm going to take everybody off mute now. So
Okay.
everybody who joined us on camera, you get an opportunity to go live.
I know.
Hang on here.
While Larry is doing that, is there something that you are seeing out there with buyer behavior, requests you are getting, and just don't know what to do about it? One, just as a chef. Two, as a company on how to pivot. Is there any of those questions first and foremost? Am I speaking Greek? Do you guys even understand? Let me ask this first. Laura, that's funny. Let me ask this first. Is what I said to begin with in the presentation, did that ring true? Are you guys seeing some of the same things that I'm seeing out there? Yes, no, yes. Okay, thank you. Is there anybody on the call that wants to offer a suggestion of what you've done in order to adapt to that particular buyer behavior? So,
and they can put that in chat and Q&A too, Deb. So.
Okay, I want to talk to people, Larry. So you can put it in the chat if that makes you more comfortable, because apparently that's what Larry said that you can do.
Well, you can do both. But we have a few folks who aren't live with us, so I just want to make sure they know they have options as well. Okay.
Any shifting that you've done in your business to help everyone out to learn just maybe something different that hasn't been mentioned? Anything in the chat? No, everybody's thinking. I see like the wheels turning.
Licensing. Every state has a different approach to the license. What is with a personal chef? And as a personal chef, normally you do not need any state license. But here in our area, it was as soon as you started to deliver, and that was exactly what Larry was referring to. The delivery required an additional license, either a small restaurant license, or it required a caterer's license, or it required another license which allowed you to deliver. As a personal chef, you were not allowed to deliver. So it would be very interesting to have maybe an overview from the USPCA. How is that handled in different states? Because I do know that it is, for my state, Rhode Island, one of the smallest ones, although I also deliver to clients over the state line, which opens up another can of worms, but I'm also buying over the state line from other states food, which is another can of worms. So I'm not touching all of those can of worms as long as I have my license. But nevertheless, licensing is going hand in hand with a lot of those suggestions you are making by adding on another product. Then suddenly you need a retail license or you need a wholesale license. It is different from state to state. I completely understand that. And my state, for example, said, okay, you can try a lot of those things until you have a certain amount in your yearly income, then we require you to do the license. You do not have to do the license immediately, but because I already have a license with them and a reputation with them as a caterer. Now, if I wanted to do a product and I wanted to do resale or retail, then they say, yeah, you can try that initially, but it requires to get you to a certain point, and then we will ask you to add a retail license, and so on and so on. So I can start from the little license to the alcohol license and the server and being whatever certified. But that's very interesting.
So Deb, you want me to take this one? So
I can go ahead and let me give you my experience real quick.
Go ahead, and then I'll kind of throw in what I see across
Okay.
the rest of the country.
For us, it has to do with what county you're in, and I think that Linda mentioned that in the chat. Because I moved my business whenever I went into my lease space with my commercial kitchen and my front end. And I actually battled the health inspector. The health inspector came in and said I had to have a wholesale food permit from the state of Texas, or she was going to shut me down. And I said, I've been doing this for 19 years. She said, so have I. And I said, okay. So I went over her to the state of Texas and said, I need to explain to you what I do. And by doing that, what happened was the state then turned around and said, no, she doesn't. However, I can go to another county and they may require a caterer's license. So it really depends upon the health inspector in that particular county of what they require.
And Norbert, this would be an entire webinar to go through this, because the challenges across the states, across the counties are significant. It breaks down in a couple of different ways. They're looking, and this really, two things really drove regulators to look at this a little bit differently, because we've flown under the radar screen for a long time. I think the first was this whole area of cottage foods, where, and this really had nothing to do with personal chefs, but rather it was people who were cooking from home and taking foods to county fairs, or, it was literally cottage foods, but they were in some cases charging for it. And that's where you're coming across this ceiling, right? As long as you make under X number of dollars, you don't have to worry about a license. And so we're finding regulators, and I'm talking to them all the time, misinterpreting what cottage foods should be and shouldn't be and how to do that. So that's one bucket over here. Then this whole world of delivery has opened up another whole conundrum about how it gets from point A to point B. The assumption among regulators right now is that everything's coming out of commercial kitchens. However, as soon as you start moving food, and because typically a personal chef's not doing it using Uber Eats or one of the others, they're doing it themselves, they suddenly fall under the catering regulations. And so that's how these regulators are looking at it. It's a nightmare. I spend a better part of my time every day working on state regulations, and we're trying to figure out how to wrap our arms around it to get these folks to understand. I think Deb said one of the most important things, though. I think people typically run scared when a health inspector shows up and they think the world's going to hell in a handbasket. Is that you should take it, if you know better, take it beyond the local health inspector. I deal with them a lot, and I will tell you, they don't always understand exactly what even their own local regulations are, let alone the bigger picture things related to the food code or related to cottage foods. So they make broad interpretations and then hope that you're going to fall for it and go apply for a license that's irrelevant to you. So I think Deb did absolutely the right thing. And Texas is tough. I deal with Texas a lot. And so the fact that she was able to go to the state and get a pass from them, I think speaks well to the fact that going beyond what the local health inspector is asking you to do is worth the effort. Worst case scenario, you might have to come back and get a local license, but I think you can set the stage for doing something that would at least impact your business locally. I will tell you, whether it's USPCA or restaurants around the United States, everyone is dealing with the pain of what you try and do and find some common element of regulation across every state in this country, and nobody likes to do it. I just had a meeting last week with the Food and Drug Administration talking about just that, if nothing else, asking them for guidance, something so that these states can have some element of symmetry in terms of what they do. So I would do exactly what Deb did. If you get hit with something and you know you're not into cottage foods, you know you're not a caterer, you know exactly where you stand as your business, then I would push that envelope and go beyond exactly where you are and say, sorry, I've got to appeal this. I'm not going to accept it.
The good thing, Larry, just a quick response. The state of Rhode Island is approximately half or even a third of the county where Deb moved from one to the next. So I did not have to worry about any state or town or other things. It was the state right away. So my health inspector is directly from the Department of Health. And when I started this whole thing several years ago, I asked the Department of Health for guidance and help. And they were very, very helpful in this.
Good.
Also and here's the good point, also to apply common sense rather than going by the rule book.
Yes. Common sense doesn't always prevail, as you know, Norbert.
I do know that.
We wish it would, but it doesn't always. So, but I think that's the key in terms of doing the right thing. You're right. And Deb just pointed out, by the way, and I just realized that a couple of people just joined us. This was snafu night for all of us. If it could go wrong, it did. Murphy's Law prevailed. And so we actually went live 6:30 Eastern time. Thankfully, we recorded this, so we're in great shape. This will be going out in the next 48 hours with the recording. And then we sent the wrong link. So if we could do it wrong tonight, we did. But it gave a chance for something we've never done before, and that's have conversation. So that's cool.
It's just round two. That's all.
That's all.
That is very true. Hi, Eric. Nice of you to join us. So,
All right.
okay. Before we shut down, any other questions either about buyer behavior, services that you've added that you never thought you would add before, or questions about Sharpen the workshop that's coming up as a whole? Any questions? You can put it in the chat, according to Larry. Or
Ask live if you're live.
Yeah, Q&A or live if you're on, or really however you can get it to us at this point. So it's just kind of where we are. Okay. Not seeing anything. Everybody is unmuted. Okay. So again, if you're joining us, you will get the recording so that you can go back and listen.
Yeah,
Is there anything else before
let
we
me
shut
explain
down
that
the call?
process. So what we'll do is we'll take the recording for the night. We do some editing and clean up to it and get it ready. So it'll take us about 48 hours, and then we'll get it over to your team as soon as we're done, and we'll post it on the USPCA's YouTube channel as well. And give us about, like I said, 48 hours to get it up and running. And then Deb, you can get it out to your contacts who may not be USPCA members, and we'll have it available to our membership, and we'll be getting an email out as soon as it's up and running. So we're excited.
Well, and to my members, whenever we get it out to my list, for those that aren't part of the USPCA, they will get a chance to meet you as well as get that additional discount if they choose to become a member. So you guys keep that in mind as well. And if you're listening to the recording, keep that in mind.
Absolutely. And by the way, if you're a USPCA member, extra discount for Sharpen.
That's right. That's right. Sabrina said, thanks so much, guys. Very informative. Gotten a lot more interest in cooking classes, which I love. You do that. I cannot stand to teach people to cook. That causes problems. So I'm glad that there's people out there that do. So, okay.
Well, I will tell you that for me, it was great because it's been 2 years since I've seen Norbert or Laura. So it's been wonderful seeing some of our members back online. Deb, you and I talk all the time, so we see each other a lot, but it was great seeing some folks I haven't seen for a while. And the fact that we finally managed to create multiplicity is probably the most exciting thing we could have done tonight.
So we just kind of multiplied me and the names everywhere. So whatever. Okay.
All right, guys.
Okay. Bye.
My thanks to everybody. We'll have this recording out in 48 hours. So thank you all and have a great evening.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.